bet.
We have another debate coming up, so
Yeah.
the reason why it looks like this is because we finished one debate and
That's what I fish say. This in the news room.
No,
Yeah, this is.
the studio. And so we thought we were going to get a debate.
I mean, is this where you do the? This isn't where you do the nightly, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all just move things around.
Well, we usually have them in place. That's supposed to be on that black dot. And,
Okay.
I can hear you. Come towards me a little bit.
Oh. I don't know where I need to be looking.
You look at me.
Oh. Mic check, mic check.
Yep.
And you're Gerald, Mr. Gerald.
Gerald Harris.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. I know you said you gave me another name potentially, but. So you listening to somebody else?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The director.
Oh.
Okay. Are you ready?
I reckon if you are.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hello, I'm joined by Brent Bailey, the Republican nominee for Public Service Commissioner here in the Central District. Great to be here.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay. Do I need to do something?
No. Take 2. 3, 2. Hello, I'm joined by Brent Bailey, the Republican nominee for the Central District Public Service Commissioner. Thank you so much for being here. The first question is the easiest question, and that's why do you want to be the commissioner for the Public Service Division here in Central Mississippi?
Why, absolutely, and I appreciate the opportunity to come share with y'all and visit with the citizens of the Central District, particularly the Jackson area. So I'm certainly seeking the position of the Public Service Commissioner here in the Central District for a number of reasons. Number one, I want to be a watchdog for the consumer. I want to ensure that all rates are fair, services provided are justified, and that if there's issues at the PSC, that they have someone there representing their interests, their needs going forward. Because there's a lot of issues to be looked at, to be determined, to be analyzed in the coming months as well as years ahead here in Central Mississippi. We certainly want to do things like tamp down these robocalls that we continue to get that invades our privacy and many times goes after our most vulnerable Mississippians. We want to help get rural internet out to those areas that are either underserved or non-served to ensure we gap that digital divide and bring those services and help connect rural residents, small businesses, others to the rest of the world, help grow that economic, that economy out in those areas. And also we may ensure that as far as our energy needs are met, that we look at diversity in our energy portfolio to ensure our consumers are getting the most reliable, most cost-effective energy resources out there.
And as the Public Service Commissioner, we've seen in past that there has been attempts to tamp down on the robocalls, partnering with the Secretary of State and the Attorney General. How would your relationship with those entities benefit the people in these 22 counties?
So, you know, there's things we can do at the PSC, and we've seen some changes in state law over the last, with this last legislative session, and the Telephone Solicitation Act and the no-call law, that gives the Public Service Commission a little more authority to move beyond the city, the boundary of the state of Mississippi, and get out there and go after these folks that are preying on our citizens here in the state. But to really get after it, we got to have working with the Attorney General's office, our U.S. Attorney Generals, the Federal Communications Commission, and others to move beyond our country's borders, because a lot of these are outside the U.S. that are preying on our most vulnerable. And we got to work together collaboratively to ensure we're using all the tools we can, legal, technological, find novel ways to get out there and cease these activities. And it's just going to take a dogged effort by folks like myself and others who are committed to protecting our citizens to work together and ensure we're having the resources necessary, both financial and manpower, to knock this down.
And under your purview, if you're elected, will be not necessarily the regulation of water, but overseeing, making sure that the consumers are not being duped. Would you look at the city of Jackson and the way that their water crisis have been and do an investigation or kind of meet with them and see what's going on, so to make sure that the consumers aren't being hoodwinked?
Well, there are opportunities, but we got to recognize what the statutory limitations are over, but what the PSC does and does not have authority to provide oversight and regulatory direction. Municipalities are generally exempt from PSC oversight unless consumers are located outside and beyond the city limits at a certain distance, and that does allow the PSC to get involved and help represent those ratepayers in rate matters. And we certainly will, if the opportunity is there, to help advise and provide counsel and ensure consumers are being charged fairly and provided the services promised to them under that ratepayer consumer contract, then yes, we will certainly do what we can, but we do not intend to intentionally overstep our regulatory authority in those matters.
And you talked about finding new sources of energy, pumping up the economy in many of the areas. I'm kind of trying to get at what kind of things are you talking about? Renewable energy, such as solar panels, things of that nature?
That is certainly an opportunity, an economic opportunity going forward as these technological costs continue to come down, efficiencies get better. There's certainly a price point out there that's going to be more attractive, not just to residential homeowners, but to small business and even large industries who have, whether it's internal sustainability goals they want to meet, reducing their carbon footprint, we continue to hear a lot of that, or just having a more diversified energy portfolio to meet the demands and the preferences of their consumers, their customers, who want to see a more sustainable product being produced. That is certainly one opportunity. But we're going to always continue to analyze what our energy portfolio looks like in the state of Mississippi, what is the most cost-effective generation out there. Natural gas continues to be one of those preferred fuel sources at this time, and we see, in different parts of the state, the potential for fairly significant investments in just the years ahead to help meet our demand for energy here in this state. And we got to make sure that the decisions we make are in the best interest of the consumers, while at the same time giving the utilities the tools they need to be successful and to provide that cost-effective, efficient energy resource going forward to provide benefits to our consumers and, of course, attract new industries to the state of Mississippi to make this a very attractive environment for investment for those folks that they're looking for a cost-effective area to do business, to make investments, and grow their energy, to grow their industrial footprint.
And another issue, if you're elected, that you're going to have your finger on is rural internet. We talked a little bit about it earlier. Mm-hmm. Some of the counties that encompasses the 22 counties don't have the economy such as some of the bigger counties, but they're still in need of rural internet. And previously, the legislature approved co-ops to kind of venture into that area. How can we ensure that everyone has the access to rural broadband and rural internet?
Yeah, so it's going to be something that we're going to have to continue to work with those entities where there's rural electric cooperatives, where there's other service providers here in the state, private, quasi-public-private partnerships to help them find the most cost-effective means of getting the finances they require to help provide those services, and not just basic service, but good upload, download speeds to make it attractive for consumers to acquire those services and pay for them. We know it's going to be difficult in many areas. In some of these areas are extremely rural. It's not cheap to run underground fiber. It's not cheap to provide even a pole-attached fiber. So we may have to continue to look at what are the various technologies out there. Is it all going to be fiber-based? Is it going to be some wireless opportunities out there? And what is that price point that's going to incentivize the consumer to purchase that service? And there's going to be enough of them to help those service providers recoup their investment in the short to medium term. So it's going to be a balancing act. There's going to have to be feasibility analysis, and we're seeing a lot of that in the rural electric cooperative areas now. They're looking at what is the best business decision for them and for their cooperative member owners to help ensure that they have these opportunities. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but there's certainly opportunities over the next few months and next couple of years to bring all this into focus. And as we continue to see technologies improve, become more cost effective, I certainly think we're going to cover that gap and get it there sooner rather than later.
And last question, is there any message that you want to send to the voters right now to say, hey, make sure you check my name?
Yeah, sure. So the whole conversation around utility regulation is something I've been involved in for the last 10 plus years now, working before the Public Service Commission to ensure that ratepayers have a voice. I've been involved in a lot of the dockets, providing testimony, public comments, providing feedback on what should be an effective, efficient utility regulatory structure here in the state. And I believe with my experience, my qualifications, and my education and background in this area, I'm the most logical choice for voters out there come November 5th to be their watchdog, their voice at the Public Service Commission, to ensure their interests are adequately represented starting January for the next 4 years.
All right, Brent Bailey, he's running on the Republican side for the Public Service Commission here in the Central District.